Rally. It's so great to see everybody here. I'm very proud to see everybody. How's everybody feeling? How's everybody doing? Woo! Everybody warming up just a little bit? Yeah. Cool. It's an awesome sight to see everybody here. We have all different generations, all different walks of life. Everybody's here this morning, all in support of the same cause. All standing up for our rights as women and as American citizens. Standing up the degrading rhetoric against women by some politicians and the right-wing media. Standing up for the ridiculous and criminal restrictions against birth control and reproductive services forced upon us by government leaders. Birth control restrictions and limitations on access to safe and affordable healthcare threaten us all. They threaten our ability to be successful employees, employers, mothers, and students. They threaten our families, our livelihood. They threaten our very way of life. We all have important roles to fulfill. We all have people to look after. We all have stresses. We all own houses, we pay rent, we pay our bills. So why is it that 51% of us are targeted on our right to privacy? Why are 51% of us targeted by government restrictions on our own bodies? Why are 51% of us judged as sluts or whores for wanting to make decisions that affect our lives, our bodies, and us only? Why is it okay for 51% of us to not have equal rights? Why is it okay for 51% of us to be denied equal pay for equal work? Why is it okay for our military branches to intimidate, threaten, rape their fellow women soldiers without repercussions? Why is it okay for a Rhode Island state representative to call a courageous high school female student an evil little thing? Why is it okay for our governing officials to take orders from religious organizations on reproductive health care? Whatever happened to the separation of church and state? Make no mistake, no matter what they say, no matter what rhetoric they say, there is a war on women. And it's happening everywhere. Not only in this state, in this country, across the world. And it will not stop until we make it stop. And that starts today. The war on women stops here in Rhode Island. It stops in our neighboring New England states. It stops in the South, in the West Coast, and all across the country. We will unify to make it stop, and we will continue to battle to end the war on women for the elections and beyond. We will continue the struggle until our voices are heard and take back the respect and equal rights that we deserve as Americans. We are not going to allow this war on women to continue. We can't let it continue. We can't let it oppress another generation. We must fight for our daughters' generation and our granddaughters' generation. This war will end now. And I have a message for all you Rhode Island state senators and representatives, regardless what they put in front of their ticket. Whether there's a D or an R, it doesn't matter. for those who work to deny women their right to privacy, for those who make laws that undermine minorities and the gay, lesbian community, and the 99%. For those who try to crush our dreams with criminal policies, you are on notice. We will demand justice, and if you cannot give it, then you will be banished from your office on Election Day. And we will install new candidates. We will install people that represent us, not the 1%. I want to say something about the team that we work with. My name is Lauren Nidell. We've had an awesome organizing team that has made this happen. This just started 7 weeks ago. This is a national movement. There are rallies, like I mentioned, across the entire country. There's rallies in Canada. And this is because there's rallies against us. Every day we have to face it, we have to hear it, and we're just sick and tired of it. So I wanted to welcome everybody here today. We have an excellent lineup of speakers. We have representatives from the governor's office. We have people from all walks of life here today to discuss their concerns, how the war on women has affected them, how it has made their life challenging, more difficult, and how it is so unnecessary and so undeserved. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our MC for today's rally, a great artist, musician, journalist, and a very compassionate citizen of Rhode Island, Mr. Rudy Cheeks.
Thank you, Lauren. The first thing I want to mention is in the general area here where the rally's taking place, it's no smoking. People had mentioned we don't want to have to pick up cigarette butts, basically. But anyway, we ask that you not smoke in this particular area, and we thank you very much for that. And next, hold on, what? Excuse me, I believe we have an uninvited guest. Hold on. Okay, here's a message from outer space. Let's see what we have here. All right, and it says, Joe Flabato. Are you Joe Flabato? No. Okay. Timmy Hogg? No. Oh, hold on, I know. You're our representative from Big Nazo Nation. Yes. And Big Nazo Nation wants you to know, am I right about this? That you totally support women's causes, women's rights, and equality, right? I'm very glad to hear that. Now get the hell out of here, will you please? All right. Big Nazo Nation, our representative from Big Nazo Nation, yes. And our first speaker is our Lieutenant Governor, Elizabeth Roberts. There she is. I don't know why she's not cold. Right, my old friend and neighbor, Elizabeth Roberts, our Lieutenant Governor.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it is great to be here, and I am cold, I'll be honest. And I'm here and I'm going to leave because I have a memorial service to go to, which is why you see me in this outfit. But I think it is so important that we gather here today, and I am here on my own behalf as somebody who believes deeply throughout my career, particularly my public career, in the importance of opportunity and fairness for women, and absolutely the importance of reproductive and health rights for all women. And I also stand here on behalf of the governor, who is not able to be here, who has throughout his career stood up for those very things. And I think it's really important as we think about what we need to change in our government to also support those who are supporting the very things we are here rallying for. And Senator Rhoda Perry is here, the chair of Health, Education, and Welfare, Health and Human Services in the Senate, who has been a stalwart throughout her career and someone who I have looked up to. You're going to hear very soon from our Congressman, David Cicilline, and I'm not sure you can find a member of Congress who has done more on behalf of women's rights, and Representative Larry Valencia from South County. So you're going to see more and more of us coming. Let me say, support us as we take these stands, which you are correct. There are areas, there are places that I never thought I would be fighting. Decisions and kind of policy that has been in our country for decades that is now being called into question. And we need to hold people accountable, let them know what we believe and care about in their mailbox, in their email box, on our Twitter feeds, but most of all, at the ballot box. Because it is really about who is voting on our behalf that is going to make a difference for me, but most of all, for my kids. And we've got to make sure that our children have the same and even more opportunity than we have been blessed to have in my generation. So I'm hoping we'll see more and more people coming out here to shiver on this late April day and stand up on behalf of women. Because as women go, our society goes. And we need to make sure that we, as women who are getting older, and our kids as they are growing and moving into their adulthood, have opportunity, equality, and the ability to make this state and this country great. So thank you for being here, and let's raise our voices today and throughout the next several months until November Election Day. Thank you.
Okay, Lieutenant Governor Elizabeth Roberts. Our next speaker has got to go to the same event that the funeral that Lieutenant Governor Roberts is going to, and that is the United States representative from the 1st District here. He's the former mayor of Providence. He is a former state legislator, and in all those roles, David Cicilline has been a supporter of and introducer of legislation for positive change for women. I know here that he was, last year he co-sponsored the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, and he has worked for the Paycheck Fairness Act and has been supporter of a number of pro-women incentives. Here he is, Representative Cicilline.
Good morning. It's really a great pleasure for me to be here, and first to say thank you to all of you who are here today. Thank you to the organizers for putting this together. I want to recognize Senator Perry, Representative Valencia for their great leadership and their presence here today. I also want to recognize the chairman of the Rhode Island State Democratic Party, Chairman Ed Pacheco, who is here, and thank him for being here. And I wanted to be sure that I gave you some specific examples of what's happening in Washington, because I'm very grateful that you've organized this rally today. We have really seen, I think, an unprecedented attack on women and an undermining of women's access to reproductive health care. It probably, at least in my lifetime, I've not seen the kind of attack we're seeing today. And just to give you an example, in the House, my colleagues passed over the strong objections of the Democrats something which is cruelly described as the Protect Life Act, which actually makes it almost impossible for a woman to use her own money to buy insurance that includes abortion coverage. And it also allows hospitals to deny abortion services even if it jeopardizes the life of the mother. It passed the House overwhelmingly because there's a caucus within the Republican Party, the Tea Party caucus, this far-right caucus that is driving the agenda in the House, and much of that is undermining the responsibilities we have to protect women. In my own committee, on the Foreign Affairs Committee, the members of the committee, again, led by the Tea Party Republicans, ended funding for the United Nations Population Fund, and I offered 2 amendments to at least provide funding in post-conflict and disaster situations, and a second amendment that would have provided funding to end the cruel and dangerous practice of genital mutilation. Both of those amendments failed. by party lines. The Republicans voted against those amendments. There's also, as you have all heard and certainly been a part of, the infamous No Taxpayer Funding for Abortion Act that actually took the incredible step of distinguishing between rape and forcible rape when limiting taxpayer funding for abortion, which would mean that victims of statutory rape or assaults that occur under the influence of drugs or verbal threats might not have access to termination of their pregnancies. We saw most recently in the Senate the Blunt Amendment, in which the far-right extremists, again, in the Republican Party, would allow institutions to deny access to a medical procedure or health services merely because they have a moral objection to it, which would eviscerate health care, has the potential to eviscerate health care in many different ways. Just yesterday, the Speaker of the House came to the House floor and said, I don't know what all this conversation is about, an attack on women or women. What are you talking about? And that was in the context of the school loan debate. We have legislation I'm a co-sponsor to make sure school interest on school loans does not double on July 1st. We can pay for it by closing tax loopholes. It's easy to do. Everyone agrees we need to make sure school interest loans do not double. But what does the Republican Party do on the House? On the House side, they attach a poison pill. They use it as an opportunity because there's broad consensus that we should do it, and they use it to repeal the Wellness and Prevention Fund, which is almost $12 billion for women and children's health care, cervical cancer exams, birth defects screenings. And when they tell you, oh, well, maybe it's just a disagreement of how we pay for this school interest loan piece of legislation. To pay for the school interest loan legislation would cost $6 billion. They repeal and abolish the entire fund of $12 billion. So it has nothing to do with paying for the student interest loan. It's because they wanted to repeal that provision of the health care bill. And so when people say, well, is it really a war on women? These are just examples of what we're fighting for and what we're fighting against. We have a very strong agenda for women that relates to pay equality, the Equal Rights Amendment, issues surrounding families and children, issues surrounding reproductive health care. We can't move forward affirmatively on any of those issues. And at the same time, we are beating back this consistent parade of pieces of legislation that undermine the health of women, that compromise the health of women, and that don't give voice to women in this country. And I thank you for your support of me, for your support of this work, but we need your voices more than ever before to protect women, to stand up for women, to be sure that women have opportunities the same as men. That's what I'm fighting for. Thank you for being here today. Continue to be part of this fight. We need your voices. Thank you.
All right, that's Congressman Cicilline. And I think we're going to mention a few other folks who are unable to make it. Is Joy Fox here? Joy, are you here somewhere? I think Joy Fox is here somewhere. Anyway, she is here representing the General Treasurer, Gina Raimondo. And she has, I have a message from General Treasurer Raimondo that I would like to read right now. She says, thank you for giving up your Saturday to take a stand for women everywhere. I support your efforts from ensuring access to birth control and information to the right to choose. As your treasurer, I am also urging you to be mindful about another important issue, the increasing levels on income inequality across our state. More needs to be done to close the wage gap in our country and our state. It's no secret that families rely on women for financial support. This, coupled with challenging economic times in Rhode Island, make the gap more prevalent here. I look forward to continuing the work of equalizing the playing field for women once and for all. That's from General Treasurer Gina Raimondo. And also Karen Bradbury is here from Senator Whitehouse's office. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, and she wants everyone to know that the senator supports what we're doing here today. Senator Whitehouse is in support of this rally. All right. Now, let me take a look here. All right. And our next speaker is the president of the Rhode Island chapter of the National Organization for Women. All right, Carolyn Mark is here. She's been the president of the Rhode Island chapter since 2006, and she also chairs Rhode Island National Organization of Women's Political Action Committee. Carolyn Mark.
Thank you for that wonderful welcome, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. It's a great honor to be among so many women and men who are literally making history. I want to thank Lauren Nidell and the amazing women and men who have made this rally a reality here in Rhode Island. And I want to thank Karen Teagarden from Michigan and Desiree Jordan from New York for igniting the spark that has rekindled the women's movement in this country. I am Carolyn Mark. I'm president of the Rhode Island chapter of the National Organization for Women. We're a membership-based organization whose sole purpose is to take action to bring women into full equality in all aspects of our lives. We fight for reproductive justice, to end violence against women, for economic equity, to secure rights for our lesbian sisters in the LGBT community, and to end racism. I came to be president of Rhode Island now in a milestone year. It was the 40th anniversary of Griswold versus Connecticut when the Supreme Court struck down as a violation of privacy a Connecticut law that attempted to criminalize the use of birth control. It was the 40th anniversary of the passing of Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger. It was the 40th anniversary of the founding of the National Organization for Women. And coincidentally, it was my 40th birthday. As a direct product of the modern-day women's rights movement, I realized several things. That my whole life had been made possible by the women who came before me. That they and their allies were the ones that ensured that I had access to birth control when I needed it, and a mom who is with me here today who would be proud of me for using it. That they were the ones that made me think that I could be anything I wanted to be when I grew up. That they were the ones that made it possible for me to expect an even playing field for women. But I also realized a very sobering reality, that in many important ways this country was moving in the wrong direction with respect to women's rights, and that was even before the current war on women began. And I realized that my own children were no longer going to be able to take for granted so many of the rights I was born having, because of the courageous women and their allies who fought for those rights before I was born and when I was still in diapers. In Washington, D.C. and all around this country, the conservative right has been engaged in an all-out assault on our rights as women. If they have their way, women will have to undergo mandated ultrasounds, 24-hour waiting periods, and biased counseling before being able to exercise their right to access abortion services. If they have their way, women will not be able to get insurance coverage for abortion services, even if they buy that insurance with their own money. If they have their way, Viagra will continue to be covered by insurance, while birth control pills will not. And women will lose access to basic health care services because they will no longer be able to find a Planned Parenthood clinic near them to serve them. Unless you think these things can't happen in Rhode Island, think again. Our General Assembly is made up of more anti-choice legislators than many people realize, and every year we have to fight bills that would seriously erode our rights. On April 13, I was about to head to the State House to attend a hearing in which many anti-choice bills were being heard, including bills that would establish fetal personhood and mandate ultrasounds before a woman could obtain an abortion. Before leaving, I explained to my 10-year-old daughter where I was going and why. And she asked me, "Mom, why do you care so much?" She is with me here today. And to her, I want to say, Taya, I care because I want you to grow up in a world where you can be everything you want to be. To have the family you want to have when you want to have it. To be free from violence. to have every opportunity that your brother has to achieve and to be paid the same as a man doing the same job. I care because I want you to spend your life realizing your potential as a human being, not having to fight for your basic rights. At so many moments in history, women and our allies have had to band together to stand up for our rights, from the original suffragists to those that have marched over the last 50 years for civil rights, equal pay, ending violence, and reproductive justice. And here we are, on April 28, 2012, rallying again. Women and men in major cities in almost every state of these United States of America are uniting together to call for an end to the war on women. And the stakes are higher than ever. Never in my lifetime have I felt more at risk of losing so many of the gains we have made over the decades. And so together we are saying, enough is enough. That's right. Today we are making history. Today will become known as the day when collectively we decided to take our country back. When we said no more to women being labeled as sluts for using birth control. No more to a media culture that degrades and devalues women. No more to the nearly 1 in 4 women in this country that have experienced intimate partner violence, or the 1 in 5 women who have been sexually assaulted. No more to making 77 cents on the dollar compared to men. No more to governors like Scott Walker in Wisconsin who think they can quietly repeal the state's Equal Pay Act and get away with it. No more to the government telling us who we can and can't marry. No more to religious conservatives who want to dictate what we can and cannot do with our bodies. And no more to politicians who won't stand up for our rights. But today is just the beginning. We need each and every one of you to speak out against injustice, to hold our elected officials accountable for their actions or inaction, and to commit yourselves to electing a president, a Congress, state leaders, and a General Assembly that truly reflect our values and will stand up for women. And if we can't find someone to vote for that can do that, we need to run for office ourselves. Thank you.
That's Carol and Mark from the National Organization of Women. And our next speaker is the Reverend Betsy Aldrich Garland. She is an ordained minister in the United Church of Christ, and she's the current president of the Rhode Island State Council of Churches and the former executive director of the Volunteer Center of Rhode Island. And she wants to point out that her views are her own. They do not reflect her position on the Council of Churches or any other organizations that she is involved with. And here is the Reverend.
Thank you very much. While I wrote in my bio that my views are my views alone, I'm planning on bringing a statement to the governing board of the Council of Churches in May that they might align their views with my views. I also bring greetings from the Reverend Don Anderson, who is the executive minister of the Council of Churches. Don is away for a long-planned event today to raise money for victims of domestic violence. So we certainly stand with him in that effort. 50 years ago, I was a nursing student at the University of Rhode Island. In our OB/GYN class, I raised my hand and asked if the professor could include a lecture on contraception. I was planning to be a public health nurse, and I thought I needed to know about such things. The next day, the professor came into class and reported that she could not lecture on contraception. In the early 1960s, it was illegal to talk about birth control in the state of Rhode Island. Since then, enormous progress has been made in recognizing the rights of women in general and the responsibility of women to control their reproductive health in particular. We have the choice to bear a child or not. We have access to shelters and programs for women and children who are abused. It is acceptable for women to be breadwinners and for fathers to care for children. Even though women's rights are a foreign concept in much of the world, we have made enormous strides in this country. The full participation of women in society has been mirrored in the religious sector, at least in progressive faith communities. Scholars in our leading seminaries have uncovered and brought to light the feminine in biblical texts so that women as well as men can find themselves in the divine drama. Most Protestant and Jewish denominations ordain women as rabbis and ministers who serve their synagogues and churches as spiritual leaders, hold positions as bishops, and lead national religious organizations. Women religious in the Roman Church work on the forefront of social justice and risk their lives in service to the poor and the marginalized. And lay women in progressive settings have become presidents and moderators and deacons and trustees. The religious mythology that undergirds our imagination and our civic culture has brought us to the 21st century. But it has not brought us unscathed and without division. So why are we here this morning? What evil spirit has risen up this past decade to undo the progress of the last 50 years? Why the war on women? And how shall a woman of faith fight back? I hold dear these three principles. The first is the woman's right to choose. How is it that Catholic conservatives, their evangelical allies, and the legislators who do their bidding have inserted themselves in women's private decisions about their bodies? As a woman, I am outraged that decisions about my health care are being taken out of my hands. As a mother and as a grandmother, I am dismayed that the choices that I have had might not be available to my granddaughters. As a member of the clergy, I am embarrassed that my male colleagues play politics with women's health. Consider the matter of authority. Who makes the rules? And on what are they based? If doctrines are based on sacred texts, what are the validity of those texts in the 21st century? And if on tradition, on what is that tradition based? And if the rules are based on experience, on whose experience? The reality of women's lives as well as men's lives? Shame on us, my sisters, for giving our authority away. Each woman is responsible for choosing for herself what is life-giving for her. No religious institution, no right-wing party or politician, no judicial court in the land has the God-given right to insert its doctrines and prejudices between a woman and her doctor, to deny her basic reproductive choices, to restrict her access to medical services, whether or not she can afford them. Domination is not a religious value, although it is often and has been a religious practice. My second principle is the right of people to shape policies that affect them. It seems to me that any policy that affects women needs to be based on the stories of women, on truth as experienced by women. Sacred texts too often reflect only the experience of men. After all, men have been the writers and the editors of our scriptures. Let us be suspicious of anything that is not grounded in women's experience. Perhaps the hidden question is,
Are women human? And if we answer yes, women are human and persons of worth, then women should share equally in developing policies that affect them. So where is women's unbridled voice in the current healthcare debate? None of us can know the truth completely, but we cannot comprehend the truth at all without understanding women's experience, women's reality, women's lives. Who speaks for us, my sisters? No need. We will speak for ourselves. My third principle is our collective responsibility for the common good. Access to adequate nutrition, affordable housing, immunization, preventive health maintenance, these things and more stabilize and benefit not only the individual, but also the larger community. Women's reproductive rights, then, are not only a personal decision, but also a public one. Why? Because access to contraception helps to prevent unwanted pregnancy, reduces the incidence of abortion, and improves the lives of women. It also saves billions of taxpayer dollars and frees women to contribute to our economy. Yet the Roman Church claims the rights of their belief to deny women access to birth control as part of their health benefits, not only if they are employed in a local church, but even if they are employed in a Catholic-affiliated institution, a hospital, a university, a human service organization. They cite the constitutional mandate for the separation of church and state. As the New York Times reports, the church calls for every priest, parish, and layperson to participate in a great campaign to defend religious liberty, which they said is under attack, both at home and abroad. So let me ask, is it truly in the public interest to allow an employer to pick and choose what health care it provides? Is it in the public interest to create two classes of health care for women, one for those who work in secular institutions and one in religiously affiliated ones? Is it in the public interest to provide no-cost health care to some women and to require other women to buy it on their own, often minimum wage workers who can least afford the cost? Is it in the public interest to deny birth control coverage for women while providing medication for erectile dysfunction for men? And even if I may be so bold, is it in the public interest to channel billions of public dollars into Catholic-related institutions that discriminate against women? Well, perhaps we should let them do so while stopping the flow of public funds to these institutions. Let's step back a bit. We have a long history in the United States of the balance between the public sector, the business sector, and the private nonprofit sector. We particularly count on government to assure the equal rights of all persons, regardless of their race, religion, sexual orientation, and nationality. And we count on religious institutions to be a moral presence in the community and to speak for those without voice. As a nation, we have thrived in the tension between these sectors. Now freedom of religion is being used as a smokescreen to wage war on women. How far will we let the conservative and evangelical religious voices go to advance their private agendas in the public arena? Let me pose a couple of outrageous scenarios. If the conservative branches of Protestantism rode out in the night to lynch atheists, humanists, and progressive voices like yours and mine for alleged heresy, would we not call in the U.S. Marshals? How far is too far? We know the answer. If the Catholic hierarchy were to sacrifice newborn babies on the altars of their churches, would we not be on the phone to the police, the governor, and DCYF? How far is too far? We know the answer. If the hierarchy decided to sacrifice women's reproductive freedom, and of course they have, on the altars of doctrine and constitutional privilege, whom do we call then? How far is too far? At what point do we draw the line? I call on women and men of goodwill everywhere to advocate for the rights of women, to incorporate women's experience in the public dialogue, and to build a just society where everyone's beliefs are honored and everyone's needs are considered, and efforts toward the common good are the norm. Together, let us build such a world for our children and our grandchildren.
That's the Reverend Betsy Aldrich Garland. Thank you. And while next we're going to have a little bit of music. If Terry Givens is here, if Terry can come on up and get set to perform. I want to take a moment just to point out that there are tables all over here. Folks from Planned Parenthood to the ACLU, to humanists, to progressive Democrats. There a number of organizations have tables with information, and we suggest that you check them out, see what they've got there. And is Terry here? Unscheduled, but we're very, very, very glad to see her here. Right now, just a few words from Rhode Island State Senator Rhoda Perry, who has been a longtime supporter of women's issues in the Rhode Island legislature. Here she is. There she is, Senator Rhoda Perry.
Thank you, Rudy. I don't know if any of you saw me climb up these stairs, or should I say, sort of hobble, but I've been here for 22 years. And when I first went up those stairs, I literally ran it, 2 at a time. Progress. And now the reality of another kind of progress. I ran for office because I wanted to ensure reproductive rights for women. I wanted to ensure that legal and safe abortions were there for all of us, for all of our children and our grandchildren. I am very concerned that that will not be the case. As one of my predecessors have already said, for my granddaughter. We need to look carefully at who is running for office and what their positions have been relative to women's issues. This is a very, very serious problem that we are facing, each and every one of us. When I first was in office, there were 8 women. There was one that I joined who was pro-choice. Her name was June Gibbs. June was a wonderful, stalwart Republican of the liberal realm. And it was Mirth York and I who joined her. And we had 9 women then, and all of the other women were anti-choice. I don't like saying this, but this is the reality. In the state Senate now, we have 3 women who are pro-choice. Senator Sosnowski, Senator Nesselbush, and Senator Perry. The other 6 or 7 senators are anti-choice that are women. So it's not just the men. In fact, we have more men than women who are supportive of pro-choice issues and of abortions and keeping them legal than women in our chamber. I don't know what the status is on the on the House side. I want to follow again on the heels of what Carolyn says, and then I'm leaving. And that is that we have seriously got to consider running for office ourselves, or getting someone to run for office who is pro-choice, or helping someone in volunteer time and in money. We've got to do it. We have got to do it. It's too frightening what is happening to women in the United States of these Americas. Thank you very much.
Love you, Rhoda.
Hey, Senator Rhoda Perry. And next, we have another organization that is under fire. And Paula Hodges is the Public Policy and Advocacy Director for Planned Parenthood of Southern New England. She was the former Policy Director for Missouri's National Education Association and Deputy Director of Policy for Missouri's Secretary of State, Robin Carnahan. And here is Paula Hodges of Planned Parenthood.
It's a beautiful day to be in Rhode Island, to be at the State House. Give me a hurrah for women. Thanks, Rudy. My name's Paula, and I'm the new public affairs staff person for Planned Parenthood in Rhode Island. I've been here for all of 4 months, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I hail from Missouri, or Missouri, depending on how you want to pronounce it or where you're from. And it is a full contact sport in Missouri, women's health and women's rights. So I know all too well what we're up against, and I've got news for you. We have backup. We have young women who are ready to speak up, vote, and hold these guys accountable. So on behalf of the 70,000 patients who walk through our doors every year at Planned Parenthood of Southern New England, we are here to say thank you for standing with Planned Parenthood and fighting back as politicians continue to wage their war on women's health. And we are here to say enough is enough. Our bodies, our health, our rights are being threatened at every level. These attacks keep coming despite the fact that a majority of Americans support Roe v. Wade and respect the decision each woman makes about her own reproductive health and pregnancies. Even more so, voters oppose funding cuts to Planned Parenthood because voters know that preventative health care and family planning helps reduce unintended pregnancies. Yet, since 2010, anti-woman candidates across this country and politicians did just about everything in their power to undermine Roe v. Wade and gut access to safe, legal abortion care. It is no longer just about abortion, though, for our opponents. It's about family planning. It's about attacks on life-saving cancer screenings. It's about birth control and sexually transmitted diseases testing and treatment. Our opponents are using our bodies as political bargaining chips, and we're fed up. Enough is enough. The 2010 elections also brought in a wave of extremists who said they wanted to come to office to fix the economy, to right-size government. Rather, they seem to be happy to bring their edicts into our exam rooms. They want to eliminate Planned Parenthood and repeal the Affordable Care Act. They don't care about impoverished women who need cancer screenings and medications. And state legislatures across the country are following Congress's lead, pushing dangerous and restrictive laws, telling women to trust them, telling women they don't trust them to make decisions about their own bodies. We are here to say we will not let them do this without a fight. Congress and state legislatures across the country are playing politics with our health and with our lives, and enough is enough. Because of Planned Parenthood, over 1 million women across the country will get cancer screenings this year. Because of Planned Parenthood, over 2.5 million women will receive birth control to allow them one of the most basic freedoms, to plan their families for themselves. We need everyone, all of us, up in arms, in their face, speaking out against these attacks on Planned Parenthood and family planning, and spreading the word about the big wins for women in the new health care law. And we do have something to celebrate, despite the negativity we see in the political sphere right now. With healthcare reform, whether you are a student, like the women up here with me today, struggling to pay for birth control, or a mother making healthcare decisions for your children, or a young person entering the workforce, the new healthcare law will give you better access to affordable, quality healthcare. About 12.8 million women of reproductive age will become newly eligible for health insurance coverage under the new healthcare law across the country, along with millions of other people. That's something we can celebrate today, and we can stand up for and defend in the 2012 elections. 2012 is a critical year because on August 1st, insurance companies nationally will have to begin covering women's preventative care, including birth control, breast and cervical cancer screenings, well-woman exams, breastfeeding support, and supplies and counseling for breastfeeding, and intimate partner violence screenings without copays. We are not going to allow a small but vocal minority try to say birth control is not preventative health care. We know 99% of women have used birth control sometime in their life. This is basic, it's common sense as it gets. Women will now have protection against discriminatory health insurer practices, like charging women more than men for the same policy or refusing to cover people with pre-existing conditions. And I hope you right here in Rhode Island support the gender rating elimination bill because we think Rhode Island should get ahead of the curve and eliminate gender discrimination health insurance ahead of the implementation of the Affordable Care Act. So come out to our lobby day on Tuesday. We're going to be talking about that. So does this healthcare law, does it sound good to you? Is this a good thing? Can we do this? I think so. We need you to speak up. We need you to speak out in support of one of the greatest advances for women's health in decades, the Affordable Care Act. We need you to talk to your legislators here in Rhode Island. Come to our lobby day, Tuesday, 3:30, around the Rotunda. We'll be talking to legislators about health care access, birth control with no copays, gender rating elimination. And for the 3 million patients who come into our clinic, and more than our clinics across the country and 800 health centers across the country, we need anti-choice politicians to hear us loud and clear. So, this is the part of the speech that I like. What can you do? There are plenty of things you can do. Today is a great rally of solidarity, but we all need to do our part. Keep standing with us. We're enormously grateful for your support. We need you to sign our petitions. We need you to get information about what's really going on in Congress. I'm standing here with the future of this movement, young voices fighting to fight for reproductive justice. It's our time, it's our voices, and our action that will tell anti-choice politicians enough is enough. We trust women. We trust women to make their own health care decisions. We need you to speak out. You've got to get active, and being here today is the first step in that. We're not going to let them win. Help out, volunteer this year. We've got lots of information about volunteer opportunities. You can get involved right here in Rhode Island at our offices. We're right off Point Street. We'll be phone banking every other week. We'll be working on candidate campaigns. Planned Parenthood Votes Rhode Island is our electoral and advocacy arm, and we're going to be out in force, helping make sure good pro-choice candidates get elected and re-elected. Finally, we need you to act up. Sign on to the Women Are Watching petition. This is a national petition to send a message to Congress. We are fed up. I'm going to dispatch these ladies, these lovely volunteers with Planned Parenthood Votes, to come to you to sign up and to send a message to Rhode Island, the Rhode Island legislature, to Congress. And we also hope you'll check the box and say, I'm interested in volunteering, because it's boots on the ground that are going to make all the difference this year. That's right! Yeah! We trust women. We thank you for standing with Planned Parenthood. And for the men, women, and young people who rely on us to protect their access to care, thank you so much for being here. Let's go get them.
All right. We have some performers waiting to come up, but first, I want to introduce somebody who is a very, very courageous young woman. I'm sure you know who this is. She's a student activist, and she is the evil little thing. Jessica Alquist.
Hello. As Rhode said, I'm Jessica Alquist, and I'm a student at Cranston High School West. For most of my life, people have spoken about the issues women face as a thing of the past. And of course, I believe that in modern society, men and women were entirely equal. I could never have imagined that my ideas and opinions would be put down and devalued simply because I am a woman. 2 years ago, I began fighting against a prayer displayed in my public high school. When the story started picking up more and more attention, I was soon subject to massive amounts of bullying and harassment both in school and online. They almost always attacked me for being an atheist and threatened me with damnation and isolation. At first, I paid no attention to the actual content of the comments and tried to ignore them as best I could. It wasn't until Representative Peter Palumbo referred to me as a pawn star and an evil little thing on a local radio talk show that I picked up on the underlying sexism I was facing. I don't think I really need to explain why the term pawn star is so saturated in sexism, but it's the other insults that got me. So much of what is wrong with the world is reflected in those three simple words. The first, evil. He called me evil because I identify as an atheist. And although atheism is not a religion, this can be considered religious discrimination, something we see all the time. The second choice word was little. This is another problem I have faced in speaking about an issue. I am not taken seriously due to my age and size, despite having conducted myself in a mature manner throughout this entire process. And of course, third word, thing. It wasn't obvious to me at first, but it occurred to me that the word thing would never have been used to describe a boy. No, Peter Palumbo used the word thing because I am a female. And in a world where women are seen as mere objects, I sadly don't find this very surprising. As a side note, I have a piece of advice for a representative. You probably should call your constituents names. And of course, he's not the only one. According to many on Twitter, the choice punishment for a female who speaks her mind is rape. Just last night, I was in an ongoing debate with several middle-aged individuals who were leaving nasty comments in a photo of an overweight woman. After reading what they had written, I told them to stop bullying this lady. The response was amazing for all the wrong reasons. One man ignored everything I had to say and instead proposed I have violent sex with him. This proposition was in an effort to silence me and put me back in my place as a useless and opinionless female. How dare I have an opinion on such a matter? How dare I disagree with a man? And I don't want to go on a tangent here, but there's more. I recently read a comment on a blog post of mine. It said this: "Pose for Playboy or another magazine, at least that way you can get some money for what you do. I am not Catholic or really even a Christian, although I believe in higher powers than myself. Really though, you are kind of cute. You should strip and pose for the world. A good atheist would. Brunettes rule. Get some money, girl. Use that non-spiritual money maker you have and get you some money." I mean, this comment was left in a response to a post I had written about my views on an issue. This person's way of disagreeing with me was not to explain their viewpoint or debate me in any way, but to instead suggest that instead of speaking my mind, I take my clothes off for the world, because at least that way I can get some money for what I do. And sadly, the clear sexism found in these comments is lost on many. I'm sure that if asked, these people would all argue that they are not sexist. I believe this is largely because society has come to accept the concept that women should be beneath men as natural, normal, even logical. And in such a world where this is happening, how can we expect the next generation to be concerned about women's rights, about their rights? Speaking on behalf of my generation, there needs to be a change. We need to call it out at every opportunity if we ever want to expose the sexism that still remains in our society. I know that we are fully capable of making that change, and it starts with things like this. Thank you.
That's Jessica, who is now officially the evil little thing. Not to me either, right? She's fabulous. And
Hi everyone, we're the Raging Grannies. We're from Westerly, we're from Providence, we're all over Rhode Island. For those of you who would like to join us, we'd love to have you. But you all have song sheets in your hands. And song is powerful. We've been around in the bad old days when abortion was illegal, when disseminating birth control was illegal, when we had to get fathers or husbands' signatures to get credit cards or to get mortgages. And you know, we've been doing this for a long time, and although we are women of a certain age, we are not stopping. Song is powerful. I don't know if you heard of the 40,000 Norwegians who sang Rainbow Race Out in the Rain. We have to be able to sing that loud. And we have to say, we will not stop. We sing about peace, we sing about social justice, and we sing about bringing that justice back to women. It means voting, it means being an activist, and it means when you're tired, not to get too tired and not to stop. And that's why we sing. So we want to hear you sing loud and sing along with us. There is nothing, no one is unable to sing. If you talk, you can sing.
These are all tunes you know.
These are all songs that you know. Sing along and sing loud. Okay. No, don't tell me what to do. My body is mine. It won't be ruled by you. No, you won't silence women's voice. Whether to have a baby or not remains a private choice. Roe v. Wade, it's a settled case. Leave it alone, and honor women's space. Oh, say there's no way women get equal pay. When we do get the jobs, single moms are promoted. Birth control is now safe under Roe versus Wade. Will the rights we have gained be so quickly unnoted? We're not going back there to the times of despair. Revolution will start if our law has no heart. No hangers, no back alleys, no hungry children starving, no policies of men will make us safe again. Oh, Ray Granny ain't what she used to be.
had a hysterectomy, needs a colonoscopy. She can't afford to pay for her care, so guess we'll have to shoot her now. What is she supposed to do when she doesn't have the dough? Dare not visit without health insurance, so guess we'll have to shoot her now. Old gray granny splits all her pills in half. Drug companies just laugh. Profits are off the graph. She can't afford to pay for her care, so guess we'll have to shoot her now. What is she supposed to do? Money for the rent is due. Can't buy bills and groceries too, so guess we'll have to shoot her now. Old gray granny now needs a test or two. Boob has a lump, it's true. What's she supposed to do? Granny's smart, she knows how to organize. Watch out, we're coming through. My eyes have seen the glory of the flame of women's rage. Kept smoldering for centuries, now burning in this age. No longer are we prisoners in some old gilded cage. That's why we're raging on. Stand up, sisters, join the chorus. Stand up, sisters, join the chorus. Stand up, sisters, join the chorus. At last our time has come. They told us to speak softly, to be gentle and to smile. Expected us to change ourselves with every passing style. The only work for women was to clean and sweep and file. That's why we're raging on. Stand up, sisters, join the chorus. Stand up, sisters, join the chorus. Stand up, sisters, join the chorus. At last our time has come. We've broken through our shackles, still we sing a battle song. We march for liberation and we're many millions strong. The world needs women's voices which are silent for too long. That's why we're raging on. Stand up, sisters, join the chorus. Stand up, sisters, join the chorus. Stand up, sisters, join the chorus. At last our time has come. Let's reach out to all women everywhere across the seas, whose lives are still in bondage to a host of miseries. Till women's rights and dignity extend to everyone, we will keep raging on. Stand up, sisters, join the chorus. Stand up, sisters, join the chorus. Stand up, sisters, join the chorus. At last our time has come.
Okay, now this one's got to be really loud, because if you don't know this song,
No, you don't tell me what to do. My body, my body, my body is mine. It won't be ruled by you.
That's right!
No, you won't silence women's voice. Whether to have a baby or not remains a private choice. Roe, Roe, Roe v. Wade, it's a settled case. Leave it, oh, leave it, oh, leave it alone, and honor women's space.
All right, we have some music coming up, but first we have a speaker from the Humanist Society. It's Kelly Reed, and Kelly is also a disabled vet. She served in the Army, and she's now in school for chemical engineering, planning to become a doctor. And here she is, Kelly Reed from the, where's Kelly? Oh, there she is. She's got great gloves on. Kelly Reed from the Humanist Society.
Hello, everyone. So, my name is Kelly. I'm here from the Humanists of Rhode Island. We are a secular organization dedicated to bettering our community through volunteering without any expectation of reward. I had this whole great idea of writing this amazing speech and, getting claps and being and then I said, I'm really not a public speaker. So I just want to come out here and speak from my heart and just really tell you how I feel. And I'm the price to say stuff that everybody else has already said, and you can just ignore me. It's okay. Everybody else does. So, the whole title, War on Women. We all acknowledge there is a war on women. We got Fox News to acknowledge it once. It's a start. They've since, rescinded that, but it's okay. From moving on, we have to stop trying to convince people that there's a war on women, because we then give them an out. They don't have to focus on the issues. They can just sit there and keep saying, there's no war on women, there's no war on women. We need to come with the actual fights, one at a time. We need to make them acknowledge the individual problems they are bringing on us. This year alone, there has been over 400 anti-choice propositions brought on the state and federal level. It's only April. That's ridiculous. People forget that by illegalizing abortion, you're not stopping abortion. All you're doing is forcing women to go into back alleys and risk their lives to end a pregnancy they know they cannot have. When you come in contact with these anti-choice people, you cannot counter them by simply saying, this is a life, this isn't a life, this is a life, this isn't a life. All you're going to do is keep hitting your head on a wall, repeatedly. What you need to do is find some common ground. Ask them, is there a woman in your life you love? What if that woman was pregnant? What if that woman's pregnancy then turned toxic and she was at risk of losing her uterus? What would you want that woman to do? This happened to a woman who was pregnant 22 weeks. Her uterus got septic. Her doctor said, there is nothing I can do to save your uterus right now because 20 weeks is the cutoff. They waited 4 days before her body finally expelled the fetus. By that point, her uterus had to be removed completely. This woman wanted more children, and now she cannot have children because politicians decided to do the doctor's job. Doctors go to school for years and years and years to learn what to do to help people, what to do to save lives. And politicians are stepping in and taking that knowledge away from doctors. What about women who have cancer? If a woman is 6 weeks pregnant, do you want her to wait 9 months to start cancer treatments? Or do you want her to have an abortion, fight her cancer, so that she can get pregnant down the road? Anti-choices may say these are exceptions to the rules. Well, that doesn't really happen. We don't worry about that. Well, when you put restrictions on abortion, these are the things that you are starting. You can't make exceptions. You have to make laws that cover everybody. Now, we're not here just to talk about abortion. We know that's not the only attack on women right now. And I want to say Iowa, but I'm starting to get my crazy states a little confused. They wanted to make it illegal to be a single parent. Now, I understand there are single male parents, and I'm not taking anything away from you. However, right now we're talking about women, which is the majority of single parents. How do you say that's child abuse because you have a single parent? Now, ironically enough, 2 out of our last 3 presidents came from single mother households. Are you going to tell me they were neglected? Are you going to tell me that they suffered child abuse? Also, in another one of those crazy states, politicians are trying to pass bills that make domestic violence not illegal. Politician went up on their stage and said, if your husband beats you, think back to the good times and everything will be okay. He really said that in a public domain. Where do we start with that? This goes back to women being property. Just, rule of thumb, remember that? You can hit a woman as long as it's not thicker than your thumb.
Oh, bullshit.
Are we really going back that far? Growing up, I always wondered what it was like to be alive in the 50s and fighting for civil rights. I always wondered what it was like to walk by somebody who said that some person didn't deserve the same equality as you simply by the way they were born. And I always wondered what that fight would be like. And then I woke up today, and here we are. We're fighting because of gender. We're fighting because of sexual orientation. We're fighting because of race. We're fighting because of everything. Why? Have we not learned anything in our history? I sometimes have to remind myself that I am not waking up in Saudi Arabia. Politicians are trying to send us back this conservative road so we mirror a country where a woman can go to prison because she was raped. That is happening today. Now, in case you didn't think that was bad enough, I read an article and I thought it was going to be a Middle Eastern country, and then I saw Mississippi. There's a 15-year-old girl who was in prison because she had a miscarriage. You think that's one case? There's many more in Mississippi, Alabama. These countries are putting young women in prison up to life because they had miscarriages, because they said that those individuals caused their miscarriage and therefore is depraved murder. How absurd is that? Now, I'm going to make one statement. It's not a humanist statement. This is just for me, personally. I don't care about a fetus. I care about babies. I care about women. I care about children. I care about these children that are being born to drug-addicted mothers and then being neglected by the state. I care about these families where politicians say women have to give birth to these babies. The minute it comes out, they want to cut social programs. They want to cut welfare. They want to cut food stamps. You can't have it both ways. You can't. There's probably 1,000 other things I wanted to say, and I'm going to forget. I'm going to get down there and kick myself. But I want to leave on one note. Equality is equality is equality. We have to fight so this fight never has to happen again for anybody. This Wednesday, the House of Representatives is going to start talking about gay marriage again. We need to support that not only because it's equality, but because half of that are women. It's still a women issue. It's still an equality issue. Now, I have one personal favor of everybody. It's a little bit about me. I am a disabled veteran. When I was in the military, I was raped by a fellow soldier. According to polls, our society trusts that individual more than me simply because I am an atheist. If you want to know how painful that realization is, it kind of sucks. So this is what I ask of everybody. Before you decide to hate anybody based on gender, race, sexual orientation, religious affiliation, immigration status, anything, get to know that person. If you want to hate me because you hate me. Don't hate me because I am a woman or a rape victim or an atheist or anything else. Thank you.
The very passionate Kelly Reed. Show them your gloves, Kelly. I love her gloves.
Thank you, and I am very lucky, in fact, you're all very lucky that my good friend Barry Brown has come up to help me out with some singing here. Barry is one of the best finger-picking guitar players around, also another peace activist, and I hope you're all ready to do some singing with us. It would be really nice if you came a little closer, because I feel kind of lonely way up here. Okay? I'm going to start off with a Holly Near song. It's a song that she wrote. It's about a mountain woman who did everything she could to keep the big companies from taking her mountain. I have dreamed on this mountain since first I was my mother's daughter, and you can't just take my dreams away. Not with me watching. You may drive a big machine, but I was born a big strong woman, and you can't just take my dreams away. Not without me fighting. Your daughters raised on this big mountain, some died young and some are still living. But if you come for to take our mountain, well, we ain't come to give it. I have dreamed on this mountain since first I was my mother's daughter. You can't just take my dreams away, not with me watching. No, you can't just take my dreams away without me fighting. No, you can't just take my dreams away. Can you do the last part with me? No, you can't just take my dreams away, not with me watching. No, you can't just take my dreams away without me fighting. No, you can't just take my dreams away. Thank you. The next one is another Holly Near song. Please sing it with us. We are a gentle, angry people. Ready? We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, yes, singing for our lives. Oh, we are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, yes, we're singing for our lives. We're justice-seeking people. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, yes, we're singing for our lives. Oh, we are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, yes, we're singing for our lives. We stand for women of all races. We stand for women of all races. And we are singing, yes, we're singing for our lives. We stand for women of all races. And we are singing, yes, we're singing for our lives. We're all in this together. We are all in this together, and we are singing, yes, we're singing for our lives. We are all in this together, and we are singing, yes, we're singing We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, yes, we're singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, yes, we're singing for our lives. Thanks. It seems like there are some folks in this country who want women to stay barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen and without any roof over their heads or food for their children, and then to send all their children off to endless war. Well, we're not having any of that, are we?
Hell no!
Hey, we're going to do Somos el Barco. Please sing along. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you sail in me. Oh, the stream sings to the river, and the river sings to the sea. The sea sings it to the boat that carries you and me. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you sail in me. Now the boat that we are sailing in was built by many hands, and the sea that we are sailing on, it touches many lands. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you sail in me. Now the voyage we've been toiling hard, yet we are sailing still, with a song to help us hold together. If we only win, somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail you sail in me. One more time, do it that last part with us. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you sail in me. Now Barry's going to lead us in This Little Light of Mine.
Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. For every man and a woman, we're gonna let it shine. For every man and a woman, we're gonna let it shine. For every man and a woman, we're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Shine for women's rights.
We're gonna let it shine.
Shine for women's rights. Oh,
we're gonna let it shine. Shout for women's rights, we're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Some might try to snuff it out.
Now some might try to snuff it out, we're gonna let it shine. I said some might try to snuff it out, we're gonna let it shine. Some might try to snuff it out, but we're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. For everyone around the world, we're gonna let it shine. For everyone around the world, we're gonna let it shine. For everyone around the world, we're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
All right, we've got more music coming up, but first, I have the sense this is a real give 'em hell speaker, okay? Kate Brock from Ocean State Action. Give you a little back info on Kate. Hold on here. I've got some notes. Where the hell are my notes? Anyway, probably you folks out there know about Ocean State Action. She's the executive director and also president of the Ocean State Action PAC. She also serves on the boards of the Rhode Island Jobs with Justice, Marriage Equality Rhode Island, and the Women's Health and Education Fund. She's got her finger in everything. Here's Kate Brock.
Thank you so much for being here today. Yay, women. My name's Kate Brock. I'm the executive director of Ocean State Action. And at Ocean State Action, we've been fighting for social justice for over 2 decades. We've been fighting to preserve and advance the rights of women, to empower women to find their voices, and to elect pro-women candidates. On behalf of myself, my staff, and the women that we work with every day, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for your outrage, and I want to thank you for fighting back. Because something has gone terribly wrong in our country and in our state. Something's gone terribly wrong when the voices of women are being silenced. Something's gone terribly wrong when women's health is under attack. Something's going horribly wrong when we're discussing access to birth control. And something is just not right when Republicans in Congress are holding up reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act. Something's gone terribly wrong because it seems like some people in our country and our state have forgotten that women still have the right to vote. There's a great thing about our country. Every 2 years we have an opportunity to overthrow our government and throw people out. It's called an election, and we need to get active. Women still have the right to vote, and women have to use it. Because we're going to use it to vote out anti-women legislators all across this country. Women's voices matter. Women's equality matters. Women's health matters, and women's safety matters. We must stand together and with our collective voice say enough. A year ago, I stumbled on a line that seems fitting for today. It's one of my favorite lines. Don't get mad, get elected. Being here is a great first step, but being here is only the first step. Being here is the beginning, it's not the end. If we want to take back our state and our country from those who wish to marginalize and silence us, then we have to get elected. In the building behind me, only 25% of the General Assembly members are women. In Congress, it's just 17. We've never had a woman governor in this state. We've never had a woman president in this country. No wonder we are where we are. Over the last 100 years, we've made great strides. We've made great strides to creating a more gender-equal society. But there are people in this state and in this country, some of whom call themselves Democrats, who wish to drag us backwards. They'll continue to use us as a political bargaining chip. They'll continue to try and derail health care reform to limit our reproductive rights. They'll chip away at our right to choose under the guise of a women's right to know. They'll cut funding for programs that support women, whether prevention for domestic violence or child care assistance. And they'll continue to block our efforts to achieve our goal of equal pay for equal work. And they're counting on us not noticing. I don't know about you, but I noticed. All across the country right now, women are noticing. Women are noticing, and women are saying, we will not go backwards. We will not go down without a fight. We will get involved. We will get active. We, as a gender and as a society, have to petition our government and demand that women's rights be honored and protected. We have to knock doors. We have to make phone calls. And we have to open our wallets to pro-women candidates. And if there isn't a pro-women candidate in your district, get ready. You have to run for office. We have to vote in primaries, we have to vote in the general election, and come November, we have to get elected. I want to ask you all to sign up with Ocean State Action, to sign up with Rhode Island Now, to sign up with Planned Parenthood, to sign up with all of the organizations who are working to elect pro-women candidates. Sign up, and when we pick up the phone and we call you and we say we need your help, say yes. Say yes, I will knock doors. Say yes, I will make phone calls. Say yes, I will donate. Because together, as a group, as a society, we can fight back the war on women. But it doesn't happen one by one. It happens with all of us together. Thank you.
Yes, all right. Well, here is Libby Kimsey, and I am shocked. She's a young person, but it's exactly what we need, young women in government. She's a candidate for the 8th Representative District, the State House of Representatives, and get a little bit more info on her. She's a member of Urban Greens and Cooperative, the Urban Greens Cooperative Council, also the West Broadway Neighborhood Association, so that means she lives in the cool West End of Providence, and Rhode Island Foster Parents Association, and she contributes to the Rhode Island Future blog. Here's Libby Kimsey. She's running for office.
Hi, everybody. I was joking with Kate while I was walking up here that she took all my talking points. Ocean State Action is a group I used to work for, and it's a group that really got into my brain and got me thinking, she's absolutely right. Things aren't going to change until we make ourselves uncomfortable and we talk to strangers and we work campaigns, and at some point in your life you're probably going to have to say, I am now a candidate for office. So I took that step, started thinking about things about a year ago, and braced myself for how uncomfortable a process it was going to be. It has not let me down. Every day I wake up and anxious and not sure of how I'm going to get through the day, but it's all right. And I strongly encourage everyone else to take that step as well. I wanted to talk a little bit about the women role models I've had and how I've chosen to be, I would like to consider myself a role model for the people who are going to run this election cycle and also in 2014. It was the women with Rhode Island Now who are involved in not just the obvious women's issues, but everything can become a women's issue. Things like clean elections, making sure that not just the usual suspects are running our state government. Things like making sure that women can marry women. Things like making sure that healthcare is affordable and that children are covered. These are all women's issues. And so I live in a neighborhood I care deeply about and have an anti-family, anti-woman incumbent, and so I'm really excited to be taking on this challenge, and with your help, I think we'll have a great victory to celebrate in November. So thank you.
All right, that's Libby Kimsey from the cool West End. That's right. And next we have someone who is already serving in office and doing a terrific job, Representative Larry Valencia. Larry's from District 39 down in North Kingstown. Here's Larry.
Thank you so much for the kind words, Rudy. Sorry to correct you. I'm actually Charlestown, Richmond, Exeter, but pretty close to North Kingstown, Central South County. Oh.
Somebody gave me false information, Larry.
That's all right. Rudy's absolutely right. He's just reading what was given to him. There is another Larry in North Kingstown, Larry Earhart, one of my colleagues. Well, this whole concept of a war on women, Congress has the right to declare war, right? And they do have the right to declare war. And we've been hearing from the other side that if there's a war on women, it's our side that's doing this, which could not be a more ridiculous idea. So it got me thinking about where this war on women has come from. And I really think it's a combination of thoughtlessness and a combination of just what our mindsets are. And those of you on our side, we share certain beliefs. One of those beliefs is a faith in government and the ability of government to do good on the behalf of people. So that's why when President Obama puts forth the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Wage Act, that's a good thing and something that needs to be done to get us to the goal of wage equity between men and women. We have faith in government. That's why our side is interested in Social Security. That's why our side is supportive of programs like WIC and SNAP and other essential parts of the social safety net. The other side does not believe in government to do good. The other side wants to, quote, drown government and make it small enough to drown government in a bathtub. The other side is only interested in maximizing a war machine. They're more than willing to put money in for those types of efforts. So that's one concept where we're definitely different from the other side. Another concept where we have a separation of ideas is science. Our side believes in science. When scientists talk to people on our side and tell us that we're killing the planet via global warming through the burning of fossil fuels, we believe them. What does the other side do? The other side doesn't believe this. They make up their own facts. They make up their own science.
That's not how science works.
Exactly. When economists tell us that WIC works, that SNAP provides $1.80 in economic stimulus for every dollar that's spent, we believe them because we believe in economic science. Yes! They don't believe in that. They don't believe in science. So between those two ideas, we've developed a mindset that's very disparate. The other topic that I wanted to talk about was the role of women in government and the kind of respect that's accorded by both of these mindsets. Our side cherishes and respects women who have talent, and we're willing to put them in positions of leadership. We have former Speaker of the House, now Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, first female Speaker of the House. we have on our side. We've got Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Maybe she'll be president in 2016. So on our side, you can see we cherish women, we value women, we're willing to promote them to positions of authority. In our own state, we've got great leaders like Liz Roberts, Rhoda Perry, Grace Diaz, who unfortunately I wasn't able to hear, but my dear colleague in the House. What do they have on the other side? They've got cartoon characters like Michelle Bachmann and the former failed governor of Alaska. I'm not even going to mention her name. So you can see there's this wide difference. Well, how can we turn things around? I know this is a women's rally, and I know you're here out to support other women. The first thing I'm asking you to do, though, is to throw your support to one man in particular, and I'm asking you to vote for President Obama in November. And the reason why I'm asking you to vote for President Obama is because he has the ability for 4 years to choose more people for the Supreme Court if there's openings. And that right now is one of the most critical things that we can do, is to have the right person in there. And President Obama's on the ballot. The second thing I'm asking for, and I'm echoing my friend Kate Brock, is to have booths here, Planned Parenthood, Ocean State Action, Occupy Providence, Rhode Island Progressive Democrats of America. Now, you've got everybody under the sun. These people all have sign-up sheets. Please reach out to them, sign up, volunteer, get registered, get active, vote. Vote early and often, as they say. And I guess that's really all I had to say. I was going to start off with a slight joke that the world is divided into two kinds of people. People that believe that you can divide the world into two kinds of people, and people who can't, people who don't. And I fall into that first group. I think the world can be divided into two groups of people, and I'm glad that we're on the right side. Thank you.
All right, Representative Larry Valencia from about 5 different communities down south there. Not from the cool West End. Next, we have Mary Kay Harris. Mary Kay Harris is represents Direct Action for Rights and Equality. She's a founder and the board chairperson of the Providence External Review Authority, and she also served on the city's Human Relations Commission. Mary Kay Harris. Hi, Mary Kay.
Greetings, greetings, and greetings. I'm standing before you today, and I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to speak before so many powerful women and allies. I'm here today to stand with my sisters of all colors. In newly energized women fight back movement, exploding from coast to coast in response to the vicious attacks on women. And I want you to know, you heard over and over today, women are pissed off. We're coming together to address the way men are redefining rape and attacking the right to choose, belittling victims of violence, and trying to decide issues and laws around women. Unless you are a woman, you don't have the expertise. We know what we need. You do not have the right to make laws affecting women. We demand self-determination, and I want to share with you one of the laws that's got me pissed off. And this is the Violent Against Women law. It's not so much as that particular bill, but it's one that is being worked on in the back rooms. You know how that is, deals in the back room? Country clubs. Tony. Talk about war on women. Listen to this one. There is an opposing bill that is discriminating and does not include lesbians, transsexuals, Native Americans, are undocumented women. You all know that women make about 30% less than what men make for the same job. But do you know that women of color make even less on average than white women? Yes. We did not advance at all. This evident economic discrimination is just one part of the systemic oppression of Black working class women. For women of color, there are 3 attacks. First, oppression as a woman. Second, oppression as people of color. And third, exploitation of women. Black women are victimized based on race, class, and gender, whether you're a professional or a housekeeper. As a Black woman, you always have to work differently from other workers. I just want you to know this. Our judgments are always questioned. Everything on the job is under a microscope. Sometimes you have to work twice as hard, and your work ethics are still devalued. Black women have been left behind and have been viewed as a third-class citizen. As women, we give birth and usually are the hands that rock the cradle, always a caretaker, whether we're caring for our young or our elders. I watch many single mothers in the work that I do with children unable to get jobs, no health care, and when they try to get assistance from the state, they are made to jump through hoops to get a welfare check. We heard that earlier from the young lady who testified earlier. One young lady I talked to, I have to share this story with you, because this is the world and the type of work that I do. One young lady I talked to is expected to look for 25 jobs a week to maintain a check. One young lady I talked to is expected to, in spite of that, with no car, no daycare. Now this angers me and it must anger you. But looking at the 2012 budget for the country, one of the things I want you to know, that 50% of that budget goes towards military spending, and only 5% on housing, and less than that on human needs. Of course, food. This budget affects women and children, just to let you know. Spending only 2% on human needs discriminate against as women. So once in poverty, you know what the saying is, always in poverty. It becomes a generational systemic effect. Gains in women's rights have been products of protracted, we talked about that earlier, I just want to bring that in, protracted struggles of women and our anti-sexist allies over the century. But these gains have not ended oppression of women. We wouldn't be here today. Even with the gains, we have to continue fighting the same issues, even after we thought we had won that particular struggle. You know what I'm talking about? Yes. I'm here to ask my sisters and our allies, will you work with me and other women of color to combat the war on women of color? Can we build a movement? I just don't want to be a Black woman standing here today just telling stories of things of effect that have been part of our oppression without asking for the help that's needed to combine, for you to stand together. Let's not go back to the middle class economic gain. Let's look at all the oppressions that have happened with women throughout history and throughout the century. Let's come together and let's stand in solidarity. And let's be women that fight together for all freedom for all women. Stand together. Peace, power, and love. Peace be with you.
That's Mary Kay Harris, and if you haven't figured out, she's from DARE. Direct Action.
It's an honor to be here today, folks. Come on, people, come on, children, come on down to the glory river. Gonna wash you up and wash you down. Gonna lay that devil down. We gotta lay that devil down. Well, come on, people, come on, children. There's a king at the glory river, and the precious king, he liked the children to sing. We shall overcome, yeah. We shall overcome. Well, I got fury in my soul. Fury gonna take me to the glory road, 'cause my mind can't study war no more. Save the people, save the children, save the country now. Come on, people, come on, children, come on down to the glory river. Gonna wash you up and wash you down. We gotta lay that devil down. We gotta lay that devil down. Come on, people, sons and mothers, keep the dream of the two young brothers. Gonna build that dream, gonna ride that dove. We can build a dream of love. Yeah, we can build a dream of love. I got fury in my soul. Fury gonna take me to the glory road, 'cause my mind can't study war no more. Save the people, save the children, save the country, save the country, save the country now. Thank you. That's a Laura Nero song. And Rudy and I are going to do a song right now. Save the lyric sheet, ladies and gentlemen. Take your C harp out. Well, together we stand, divided we fall. Come on, people, let's get on the ball and work together. Come on, let's work together. Because together we will stand, every boy, girl, woman, and man. Make someone happy, make someone smile. Let's work together and make life worth a while. Let's work together. Come on, let's work together. Because together we will stand, every boy, girl, woman, and man. Because when things are wrong, as it sometimes it will, and the road you travel is all uphill, let's work together. Come on, let's work together. Because together we will stand, every boy, girl, woman, and man. Go ahead. One more time.
together. Come on, let's work together. Because together we will stand, every boy, girl, woman, and man. Because together we will stand, every boy, girl, woman, and man.
We're going to do a Woody Guthrie song now that everybody knows, I believe.
Yeah.
There goes the podium. Yeah, you can hold that now. We have it has like 40 verses, so we just kind of wrote some out, and we'll just do it. So I'll do the first one, then you do the second. We can sing together.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. Ah, this land was made for you and me. Go ahead.
As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me the endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. Oh, this land was made for you and me.
And I roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps up the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. Let's do This Land Is Your Land. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Go ahead.
When the sun came shining and I was strolling, the wheat fields waving, the dust clouds rolling, as the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting, this land was made for you and me.
And as I went walking, I saw a sign there, and on the sign it said no trespassing. But on the other side, there wasn't nothing. That side was made for you and me. One more time. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you. Mark Cutler. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Brenda Bennett. Brenda, why don't you somehow I vaguely recognize this guy. Yeah, kind of familiar. I don't about that bit, yeah. I swear I know this guy. Anyway, Brenda will introduce the folks she's playing with. Brenda Bennett.
Hey, good to see so many people who were able to show up after all here. We have Mark Tabor on piano, Laurie LaCale, and Adrian West. We're going to do a couple of numbers for you here this afternoon. And we're going to start off with the first one is Follow Me. 1, 2, 3, 4. My heart's in chains. Somebody set me free. Give me something to ease my pain. Why won't he let me be? No peace night. Lord, I can't sleep. That little devil whispers in my ear and say, follow me. I got a worried mind.
She got a worried mind.
Don't like to feel this way.
Don't love this way.
Give me something to pass my time and chase my blues away. That I can keep.
She gonna keep.
I'll take that little devil by the hand and say, follow me.
Follow me.
Follow me.
Follow me.
Come on, follow me.
Come on and follow me.
Show you how to do things right. Come on, follow me.
Follow me.
Yeah. Bad ones bleed you dry
Bleed you dry.
and still come back for more.
No more.
No matter how hard you try, you can't walk out that door. But you just wait.
You just wait.
There'll come a day.
That'll be the day.
You'll take that bull right by the horn and say, follow me.
Follow me.
Follow me.
Follow me.
Come on, follow me.
Come on and follow me.
Show you how to do things right. Come on, follow me.
Follow me.
Yeah, follow me.
Follow me.
Follow me.
Come on and follow me.
Come on and show you how to do things right. Come on, follow me.
Follow me.
Show you how to do things right. Come on, follow me.
Follow me.
Show you how to do things right. Come on and follow me. Thank you very much. Mark lost one of his balls. The Lord has blessed us with really nice weather today. And the Lord has blessed the women of America with a voice and the freedom to use that voice. Don't give up the cause. This is Jemima. 2, 3, and... Day by day she lived her life from behind a wall of glass. She built her wall tall and strong. She built it strong to last. She looks into the mirror each day and wonders who she sees. Her face has changed considerably. Well, so she the betrayals and the poison lies. She couldn't make love work. She recalls the words from the past, and it comes as no surprise. Her echoes in the voices she hears, it still brings a tear to her eyes. Yeah, Jemima, Jemima, I found a way out of the past. Yeah, Jemima, girl, I'm a girl. There's no need for looking back. You don't realize, my friend, life finds a way. Listen to whispers on the wind. They say there will come a day, just when you stop looking, right one comes along. Your faith can put a crack in that wall and tear that wall down. Hey, Jemima, gotta find a way out of the past. Yeah, Jemima, Jemima, there's no need for looking back. You gotta go, don't Jemima, girl. Gotta find a way out of the glass. Hey, Jemima, Jemima, girl, there's no need for looking back, looking back, looking back, yeah. Thank you very much for coming. Stick around, we've got more going on for you. Thank you.
You think it picks up sound from here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is bass and loud.
I mean, I've never used, like underworld. I got this.
So every day the war on women becomes more oppressive in this country and also outside this country. This includes how the U.S. military treats its women soldiers, as well as how women from around the world are treated by the U.S. military. When the war on terror began, both Democrats and Republicans said that the fight against terrorism is a fight for the rights and dignity of women. They said that they would save the oppressed Afghani women. But the military that fights for imperialism and occupies countries does not liberate women. The U.S. still backs the warlords in Afghanistan who are responsible for the rape and murder of thousands of women. A major issue facing women in the military is that of sexual assault. Sexual assault within the ranks of the military is not a new problem, it's a systemic problem. Unfortunately, soldiers rape civilians and soldiers rape other soldiers. During the recent massacre in March, 16 Afghan men, women, and 9 children were slaughtered. 2 women were also raped during this horrible tragedy. The military, like most institutions in a capitalist society, is a sexist organization. Despite the Defense Department's zero-tolerance policy, there are more than 3,000 military sexual assaults reported in 2011. But by the Pentagon's own estimates, there was 80 to 90% more sexual assaults occurring during this time. Around 19,000 sexual assaults occurred in the military just last year, according to their own estimates. What does it tell us about female soldiers deployed overseas who have to stop drinking water after 7 p.m. to reduce the odds of being raped if they have to use the bathroom at night. Or a soldier that was assaulted when she went out to get a cigarette and she was afraid to report because she was feared that she'd be demoted for having gone out without her weapon. Or that a female soldier in Iraq is more likely to be raped by a fellow soldier than killed by enemy fire. A recent CNN investigation interviewed women in all branches of the armed forces, and they tell stories that follow a similar pattern: a sexual assault, a command dismissive of the allegations, and a psychiatric discharge, with the use of personality disorder diagnosis rather than the possibility of assessing the person with post-traumatic stress disorder. In the military's eyes, a personality disorder diagnosis is a pre-existing condition and does not constitute a service-related disability. That means sexual assault victims with personality disorder discharges don't receive benefits from the Department of Veterans Affairs to help with their trauma. They can still apply for benefits, but it's considered an uphill battle. There are other costs too. For example, members of the armed forces who receive a personality disorder discharge lose education benefits under the GI Bill. Besides losing those benefits, soldiers face emotional trauma and many are suicidal. Unfortunately, there are limited mechanisms to address issues of sexual assault. If higher-ups don't follow up on allegations, there is no other recourse. No person should ever be subjected to such a work environment with such reckless disregard for the safety and well-being of its employees. This can no longer be tolerated as standard operating procedure within the military.
Right.
The amount of money that is given to the military-industrial complex is in itself an assault and crime against women and children. The billions spent every week by the military to commit heinous crimes against humanity could be better used providing for the basic needs of women and children in our society. Yes. Schools could be built rather than torn down, as we've seen here in Providence, largely due to a large budget deficit left. Including adequate mental health care coverage could be provided for all, health care coverage could be provided for all, basic needs, food and housing could be provided to all. Rather than bombing other societies into oblivion, we could be building a society that provides for women and children of our communities. And it must be said that the war on women is not coming from just the Republicans. It is true that the Republicans spew some of the most vile hatred against women. But there is no doubt that Democrats, too, are not backing women's rights.
Right.
We can just look to the history of the Democrats and their icon, Bill Clinton, for what he did to women's rights. Famously proud to say that he ended welfare as we know it. He proudly gutted women's rights, eliminating benefits for hundreds of thousands of women and children, forcing them into poverty. Currently, the Democrats are playing the election year strategy game. They know that a frenzied right wing is the best reason they can give loyal Democratic supporters why they should turn out like hell to vote for the Democrats and vote back Obama in office. But when it comes to women's rights, this lesser evil game means that women ultimately lose. For example, hundreds of anti-abortion laws have been proposed and many passed just during Obama's term in office. And Obama said little to defend the right of women to have access to birth control after the manufactured right-wing uproar over federal regulations to make employers cover contraception for female employees under their insurance plan. Instead, the administration let the religious right take over the debate. Locally here in Rhode Island, it was a Rhode Island Democrat who proposed a bill that would require a forced ultrasound for all women seeking an abortion. Locally here in Rhode Island, it was a Democratic treasurer who gutted the pensions for thousands of women. So let us remember that we can't look to the Democrats to help improve women's rights. It will take a movement building outside of the established parties and ultimately the elimination of capitalism itself.
Yeah!
The gains made for women's rights in the 1960s and 1970s, from reproductive rights to anti-discrimination laws and equal pay measures, weren't accomplished by the Democrats or Republicans, but by thousands of ordinary women who fought for their rights. And that is how rights will be gained and fought for today, through rallies and protests like today, and building independent movements from the Democrats. Thank you.
All right, that was Chris Murphy and from the Occupy movement. And next, this is a very good friend of mine. In fact, I lived in her, what was that, in the, I know what street it was. I was trying to think. It was a closet or something at your house for a while. All right, Jane Hamlin has a story that happened years ago. I know there's some younger people here who don't remember what life was like before Roe v. Wade. And Jane has a brief story, a true story.
Well, if you're under 55 years old, you won't have really remembered what it was like to live when abortion was illegal. I mean, I was young back then, and it was always like there was a hammer over your head. Oh, what if I get pregnant? You know, I mean, everyone lived in fear that they might get pregnant. And if you were rich, you had an extra $3,000 in your back pocket to go get an abortion. But most people didn't, because you might have made $10,000 back then. So, I mean, I was probably 20, 21. I was going down to school at Ohio State. And a good friend of mine, she was going to school at Kent State. She calls me up and said, Jane, I'm pregnant. You need to do something. And I was a nurse at the time, but I said, Linda, I really wouldn't even know what to do. I said, but you can come down and live here with me, and you can give the baby up for adoption. I mean, that's I guess your only other choice, because there were no choices back then. So she said, no, I can't do that. I can't give a baby up for adoption. I just can't do it. And she said, Jane, I don't think you're going to ever hear from me again alive. In 2 weeks' time, my mother called me and told me Linda was dead. Her mother found her an abortionist, and illegal abortions kill women. And that is what we will go back to if abortion is deemed illegal. It won't be pretty, it won't be funny, and you will lose your friends, like I did. She was dead at age 20, a junior in college. A beautiful woman, fun, vibrant, her first real boyfriend, dead. Why? Why? So we really don't want to go back there. It's a horrible, horrible place. I mean, there are states now where they don't even hardly have a provider. So they probably are going through the same things. So that's why when you see older people out here, we remember, we fought for this, and a lot of us are really unhappy that we're back here again. We thought this was a done deal, so let's keep abortion legal.
Thank you, Jane. Jane Hamlin, thank you. And next, a founding member and organizer for the Rhode Island Anti-Sexism League, Renee Chavez. Is it Chavez or Chavez? Or Chaves, okay. All right, here's Renee.
Hi, my name is Renee, and I'm here today with the Rhode Island Anti-Sexism League, or RISL. RISL formed in fall of 2011 as a grassroots organization inspired by the international Slut Walk demonstrations. Here in Providence, Slut Walk left people energized and excited ready to do even more to raise awareness of the pervasive culture of sexism that affects people of every gender, race, and sexual orientation, and to find ways to tear that culture down. That's where Rhode stepped in and offered opportunities for people to do just that. We began meeting once a week to talk about the ways that we, the people united in the struggle together, could combat sexism. That led to our first 2 clinic defenses, the first one happening in a snowstorm, a counter-protest right here at the State House back in January, and the event we hosted just last Sunday, Occupy Sexism, where we heard amazing speakers, much like the ones we are hearing today, and then we marched through the city in the rain to the Sarah Doyle Women's Center for an afternoon of brilliant workshops focusing on the many ways sexism infiltrates our lives and the world around us, and also how we can rise up and fight it. One of the most important things that Rhode has done thus far is to organize and carry out clinic defenses at the Women's Medical Center of Rhode Island. We get out there way before the anti-choice contingent, and we stand our ground with signs that positively support the clinic and a woman's right to choose a safe, legal abortion, or birth control, or mammogram, or any of the other medical procedures women have the right to obtain there. At each defense, we were told by people in passing cars and out on the street that it was a welcome and positive change to see us out there, raising our voices against the harassment and abuse that people who enter that clinic have to face. These anti-choice, anti-woman bigots have had the floor to themselves for far too long. We are here to tell them that those days are over. And make no mistake, they know it. And they're getting pretty worried about it. After that pro-life rally in January, many conservative right-wing news sources reported that counter-protesters drowned out speakers, refused to let a priest pray, and finally, threw condoms at school children. These people are trying to restrict our access to condoms. Why on earth would we waste the ones we have by throwing them at anyone? There are way better uses for condoms, don't you think? My point is, if we are making the right-wingers nervous enough to fabricate a story of pro-abortion protesters raining condoms down upon Catholic school kids, well, good. Let them be nervous. They should be. Rhode is a group that believes in putting our boots on the ground and fighting back. We can't rely on elected officials to give us our rights. We need to get out there and take them. We can certainly vote, and we should, while we still have the right to, but we can also speak up with our own voices and participate in the struggle against this war on women ourselves. We cannot compromise. There's no middle ground on this. Think for a moment about what the Virginia Senate called middle ground. They decided that rather than committing state-sanctioned rape by forcing a transvaginal ultrasound upon a woman choosing to have an abortion, they would compromise by becoming the 8th state in the United States to require women to have a non-consensual abdominal ultrasound instead. Doesn't that make you feel better? Yeah, I didn't think so. Rhode meets once a week, and our next meeting is tomorrow at 6 p.m. at Libertalia. You can get more information about that meeting and our next clinic defense planned for May 19th at our table today. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. We are everywhere, and we refuse to be silenced. Don't just take to the polls, take to the streets.
Thank you, Renee. And next, from a very honorable and old and great institution here in Providence, Sojourner House, we have Jessica Ricardo. Here she is, working her way across the line here. Jessica Ricardo, and she represents Sojourner House.
It's nice to see the faces that are here. Sojourner House is a domestic violence agency. We serve Providence and Northern Rhode Island, although really we will serve anyone that walks through our doors. We've been an institution here in Providence for 35 years now. We were originally started out of a group of brown students that were angered by the violence that they were seeing on their fellow women students and the lack of resources that these women had to leave their situations and to move forward. We now have a drop-in center that's actually right around the corner over on Smith Street here, where we offer counseling support groups. We have a child counselor that works with the children of the survivors we work with to work through the trauma that they also have incurred in witnessing the violence. We also have a residential program up in northern Rhode Island where we have an emergency safe house as well as the largest transitional housing program for domestic violence survivors in the state. And while I am very, very proud to work for the agency that I work for, I'm proud to be working with the clients that I work with. They're incredibly strong women pushing through unbelievable obstacles to get back on their feet. I also have about once a week a period of time where I look to a client that I'm working with and I cannot believe that in 2012 I am still able to work more than 40 hours a week and have a full-time position working at an agency that is at and at times over capacity with residents that have had to run away from their homes, everything that they know, their families, put their children in new schools, all to flee various kinds of abuses and violence against women. It frustrates me, while I'm proud of the work that we do as an agency, it frustrates me, as I'm sure it does the rest of you, that we live in a society that is so apathetic against the aggressions that happen against women on a regular basis. So I'm here to thank you guys for coming out and to support causes for women's equality and to support fairness towards women and safety for women, and to bring the message to you of gratitude for coming here to show your support from the clients that we work with, because they are real women, real children, real families that have been completely displaced because they're living in a society where aggression and violence towards women is normal. So what I ask of you, and what I know you've asked of everyone else up here, is that we stand together and we say that it can't be normal anymore. It's not acceptable. It's not right, and it's not safe. And every human being has the right to be safe, and you shouldn't be less safe because you have a vagina. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming today.
Jessica Ricardo from Sojourner House. And we're going to move right on with our speakers. Representative Diaz has been unable to make it, but I know she sends her support. And so we'll move on to Lisa Beatty of the Progressive Democrats. Here's Lisa. Is it Beatty or Bede? Bede, okay. Well, there's an E at the end, but it's Lisa Bede. Okay.
Hello. I'm representing the Progressive Democrats of America, but I'm also a member of Occupy Providence. And I wanted to just say that, and I also represent myself. We've heard a lot today about all the abuse that women have been the attacks on women. You're here because women and their families are under attack. But it's also, not only is women and families under attack, I would say that it's also a national issue. Since legal access to family planning, the education rates for women, and until recently, the per capita earnings of families has risen as well. And directly due to family planning, that change is happening all over the world, in China and Africa and South America. As women get control of their pregnancies, their life expectancies and those of their children have risen, and whole cultures have moved forward socially and economically as easy, affordable education has brought development and prosperity to the whole country. Does that sound like the President of the United States? No. We're going backwards. Are we the women of this country? I'm standing here with a statue of Roger Williams. Roger Williams believed in the separation of church and state. Are we, the women of this country, who've taught the rest of the world about the right of all women of all colors to be equal partners in this society, to be victimized once again into baby vessels and wage slaves? Shall we be forced by this American Taliban to wear burqas this time because a broken constitution and a bought political system will not allow this to be legally possible? The fight for this to be legally possible. Have you heard the story about a man who was asked, "Are you a doctor?" And he answers, "No, but I play one in Congress." In Congress, where the Violence Against Women Act is being weakened by a redefinition of rape, and the infamous all-male committee debates contraception. But this is not a Republican versus a Democratic issue, at least not in Rhode Island. As my former speakers have said, a slate of anti-choice bills 2 weeks ago were introduced by Democrats in our Democratic legislature. Democrats proposed 5 anti-choice bills, some severe. Karen McBeth, a woman Democratic legislator, proposed the government mandate on the use of vaginal wands inside of a woman's vagina, anyone who sought an abortion. This bill would come with not only with this humiliation, but also with severe penalties to any physician who declined to follow the protocol. And John Brien, the Democrat who heads the ALEC contingent in Rhode Island, proposed a bill
Down with ALEC!
Down with ALEC, yes. Couched in the language of violence against women, would mandate a 25-year prison sentence term or life imprisonment for anyone, read health professionals, who terminates the life of a fetus before or after 12 weeks. So it would be 25 years before 12 weeks, life imprisonment after 12 weeks. Effectively, it chooses the life of a fetus, read person, over the life of a fully functioning adult. These are just the 2 worst bills that were introduced in this legislature recently. So my question is, and question of a lot of people I know is, what's really going on here? Yes, this attack on women is being carried out by real religious fanatics, what I call the American Taliban, and which wants to bring us back to not only to the 30s, but to the 15th century. But many of us believe it is also a calculated use of the fanatics by the power behind ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, funded by and other groups, funded by the very largest corporations and I never know how to pronounce this because the way I want to pronounce it, Koch brothers, that are writing social policy for legislators, like the one that helped to make the killing of Trayvon Martin so disgusting. These policies have nothing to do with economics, but have a lot to do, I believe, with creating division between the rest of us, between the 99% of the people whose livelihoods these corporatists have been stealing. This divisiveness that keeps us arguing social issues so we don't join together with the other 99% of us to fight against the people behind our disappearing livelihoods, to the people getting rich from mortgage fraud and illegal foreclosures. These people have been getting rich by funding legislation, making it legal, and their bought political flunkies from both parties have carried it out. They make huge amounts of money from promoting war and privatizing parts of the military, where young Americans, like the one who died recently from Rhode Island, fight and die. They make huge profits from privatizing the schools your kids go to, and more from prisons, where more and more people of color reside. The pension formulas that are being used to attack working people come from ALEC. We are fighting among ourselves, so we won't look to the real cause. Contraception is one of the greatest dividers, which is why the Occupy movement is so clever in not making demands. It doesn't want to get bogged down in what divides us, but what unites us. 99% of Catholics, both in the US and worldwide, use contraception. So what's the deal? Is it really the issue? Isn't this a war on women part of a larger war to weaken the people and consolidate power of a once great nation, leaving it with a third world status? I suggest to you that the war on women is part of a war on us all, and that we get political and join the rest of us who are fighting for our lives. Don't believe the signs on the buses which promote suspicion. Look, stop, report any suspicious behavior. The people that are here are not our enemy. They're our neighbors. It's not the stranger on the street who's your enemy. They're the victims like we are. The real terrorists are not on the street. They're in the government. The ones who are transforming this country into a police state. They are the ones who get the money from doing all the things I talked about. It's time to get political by joining those who may not agree with you on all issues, but they are part of the movement of the 99% to stop being victims and to create new solutions. Thank you.
All right, how's everybody doing today? All right, good. I'll play a couple of songs that I think have some political power to them, and maybe you guys can sing along with me too.
There's no heaven. It's easy if you try. Well, below us, above us on the sky. Imagine all the people sharing born today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing that kill or die for. No religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. Wonder if you sisterhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Thank you. All right, the next song I changed the words around a little bit too. It's an old Rolling Stone song. I hope you guys know. I think you'll know. And I think you guys will get the message. You ready?
The storm is threatening my very life today. If I don't get some shelter, yeah, I'm gonna fade away. War and women, yeah, it's just a shot away. It's just a shot away. War and women, yeah, it's just a shot away. It's just a shot away. Fire sweeping our very streets today, burns like a red cold carpet. My bull just lost his way. War and women, yeah, it's just a shot away. It's just a shot away. War and women, yeah, it's just a shot away. It's just a shot away. Shot away, war and women, yeah. It's just a shot away, just a shot away. War and women, yeah. It's just a shot away, it's just a shot away. War and women, yeah. It's just a shot away, just a shot away. Mothers, these murderers, yeah. It's just a shot away, it's just a shot away. Mothers, murderers, yeah. It's just a shot away. It's just a shot away. Brothers and sisters, yeah, now. It's just a kiss away. It's just a kiss away. Brothers and sisters, yeah, yeah. It's just a shot away. It's just a shot away. Oh, yeah.
Woo. Thank you.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, you, oh yeah, why don't you use that one? Because I got that one. This is, yeah. Nice. Okay, this one's sturdy, yeah, this one's better. This is better, okay. And next, we have the Reverend Gene Dishlevsky, and he is an ordained minister in the United Church of Christ. He's also a community activist, and he serves on the board of Marriage Equality Rhode Island, and we share, that's right, Marriage Equality, yeah, that's right. And we share Hope, which is a food rescue and redistribution agency. Here is Reverend Jean Dyslewski.
I'm kind of used to a pulpit. Contraception is often this issue. I think it is. And my sense is the women of America have it right. They are taking the moral, responsible high ground in planning families. Women know that it's important to plan their lives. They know that they should, if they choose to have children, should have children with the limits of their emotional and economic resources. Having more children than you could care for is immoral. Having more children than you can afford is immoral. Having more children than you can educate and feed is immoral. Women know that when a baby is a choice, that parenting begins as a loving process, not an accident. Leaving choice to nature is reckless and immoral. It hurts women, it hurts children, it hurts relationships, it hurts men, it hurts everyone. It is wrong, and women know that. Now, what's interesting is we already trust 80% of the healthcare decisions in this country to women. We already trust most of the care when children fall sick to women. As a matter of fact, we trust most of the care for anyone in the family who falls ill to women. Why don't we trust women to take care of their own medical issues? Now, actually, women know better. They know what's good for them. Women know that parenting is a complex human undertaking, not simply a biological event. Women know that being a parent requires judgment and prudence and planning. Now, there's no question in my mind that choice is the moral high ground. And women have consistently taken the moral high ground over the past 40 years. Morality is how you live your life. Morality is not how you think, it's what you do. Morality is not a philosophy. It is not a theology. It is not an ideology. Morality is a life thing. It is a behavior. It is what you do. And morality is deeply rooted in human sensitivity. Now, I don't think that my experience is terribly different than yours, perhaps. But when I first wanted to have my moral compass set, I went to my grandmother. And when it needed adjusting, I went to my mother, my wife, my daughter. I never went to the legislature for moral advice. Nobody does. And any intrusion in women's choice, any limitation that is attempted to be placed upon women simply is a bad idea. Can I hear an amen? Amen. Thank you.
But first we have a personal tale from Olivia Penny. I've seen Olivia here almost all day. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Olivia Penny and I'm 18 years old and I'm a survivor of rape. April 22nd, 2011. Not a very important date to everyone, but a date that changed my life forever. I was living in Italy at the time and I was flirting with a boy named Richard. Richard was tall and funny and liked to hold my hand and kiss my cheek. I didn't love him, but I was well on my way. The night of April 22nd was a night just like any other. I was at my friend Anthony's house. We were hanging out and having fun. That's when Richard sat down next to me and gave me a glass of water. I thanked him and took a large sip. It tasted a little funny, but you know, it's Italy water, so I continued drinking. I started feeling kind of fuzzy. I don't remember much after that. The events are all kind of mixed up in my head, but I do remember being in that room, him on top of me, taking off my clothes, and I remember pain. I remember wanting it to stop, and I remember it not stopping. It was the first time I had ever had sex. I was 17 years old, and I was raped. Later on, you know, I told a friend of mine and she said, well, you shouldn't have been there. It's your fault. You were flirting with him. So, you know, I thought it became my fault. You know, losing your virginity was supposed to be this beautiful, romantic moment that you'll never forget. Well, it is a moment that I'll never forget, but it wasn't beautiful or romantic. I was forced to have sex. And for a while, I felt like it was my fault. And I continued to be in that relationship for several times. I was raped 4 more times after that, not with drugs, but emotionally raped, being told that I was only worth anything if I was with him. It was the only reason that he would stay with me is if I agreed to have sex. Most people wouldn't consider that rape, but I do. I do. Thank you. Woo, yeah. Rape is considered a crime of youth. You know, 50 to 63% of reported rapes are women under the age of 18. And only 1 in 5 rapes are reported. Mine wasn't. The only reason I feel as though if I were still living in Italy, I would still be in that situation. I would still be in this abusive relationship. I was lucky because my visa ran out and I had to move back to the US. But what about the people that don't have that opportunity, that don't get to leave the country, that don't get to leave the city? What about all the young girls there being told that they love you, being pressured into having sex when they're not ready? 74% of females under the age of 14 who have had sexual relations are survivors of rape. 74%. That is outrageous. There's such a stigma around being a young girl in this country, about being a woman in this country, about having to be, you know, chaste and, you know, not a slut, but, you know, at the same time giving in and having sex. Especially for young girls who are still forming their minds, still forming about whether, you know, having sex for the first time, how far they want to go, who they are in love with. And it's so easy to pressure someone and to force them into doing something like this. And yet, when it happens, girls like me just want to pretend that it didn't. They want to romanticize it. Like, oh, it was okay, you know, because I liked him. He didn't rape me. It was my choice. You know, especially because they don't want to talk about it. But talking about it is what is necessary. I tried in the beginning, and I was put down, and I was told it was my fault. But it was not my fault. I was raped. I was forced to have sex through drugs. And nobody, and whether it's through drugs, whether it's through brutal force, whether it is through emotional manipulation, rape is never okay. And young girls, you know, it doesn't matter if you're 12 years old or 96, it can happen to you. And I think older women, as well as, you know, older men and younger women need to allow for people to realize that it was not your fault. And it is okay to talk about it. Because I lost my virginity before marriage, but I have no problem with that, but I was forced to. There's a difference between falling in love and having sex and being forced to have sex. And just because you're a young girl and you haven't made up your mind necessarily about who you're gonna be or what kind of person you are or who you love, it doesn't mean that being emotionally manipulated is just youthful stupidity. There's no such thing as a girl mistakenly being emotionally manipulated into having sex. It doesn't matter how young you are or how old you are, rape is rape, and it's never your fault. Thank you.
And I do have, friends that are single mothers, and I always note how it seems like the man gets to not really carry that responsibility that the mother ties to the child, It's the first time I'm singing today and it's cold, so I'm gonna have to do my Johnny Cash voice.
This is a song for the saviors. Let the music fill your ears. Carry on the revolution. Earth is growing with our tears. No, we stand apart now. No, we'll never walk alone. It is a gift of our forefathers that made this place our home. Yes, the rising of the saviors and the rising of the diplomats and those who stand against us, carrying swords, wearing jokers' hats on them, fighting now in ignorance, and it's time that they will know this is the age of innocence. Let the rivers flow, yes. They tame the beast of Plato and they keep the people subdued by teasing our genitalia and tactics that I consider crude. And they're remembering the assassination of Mr. Martin Luther King, a king who was a coming of a savior, slain like a crucifying, and their ears begin to ring with a song for the saviors. Yes, their ears begin to ring with a song for the saviors. This is a song for the saviors. Let the music fill your ears. Carry on the revolution. Earth is growing with our tears. And I'm calling to the forefathers. Set the minds of the people free. My ears are overflowing with music, strong over the centuries. Yes. This culture since the day I was a kid, for I grew up with my mother and I saw the things my father did, and as I grew I felt a change swelling through the air like the night that enters your body.
like the music that fills your ears. Now I'm a man with 1,000,000 children, tugging at his sleeve, saying, please, please save us. Our souls begun to bleed, and just as many women weeping across America, drowning in injustice, repression, indignation, exploitation, waiting for salvation from the gods of the dollar bills, in the dresses and fancy diamonds, laying on Macy's windowsill. In this song I write now, on the back of a dollar bill, would give the president insomnia. The seed of truth would burn his will, yes. The seed of truth would burn his will. Oh, you know they call us activists, but labels did not save the slaves. And then they call us dreamers, but this is the path we pave, yeah. The rising of the saviors, the rising of the diplomats. We've thrown down our swords, we've thrown down our jokers' hats, and they're standing out in Brooklyn with their arms up to the sky, screaming hallelujah. Flames of redemption fall into their eyes, and they're singing songs of renewal. Down in Memphis, Tennessee, dirt has washed out from their eyes. Truth and light is all they see when they hear the song for the saviors. For it's now we take our stand. They hear the song for the saviors. Yes, it's now they understand. This is a song for the saviors. Let the music fill your ears. Carry on the revolution. Earth is growing with our tears. This is a song for the saviors. Let the music fill your ears. Carry on the revolution. Revolution, revolution. Ooh, ooh. Song for the saviors. Let the music fill your ears. Carry on the revolution. Earth is growing with our tears. It's an original song for you. You can get that one off my MySpace. I don't even go to MySpace anymore. All right, here's a little one, make you smile a little bit. Well, my ex-girlfriend keeps calling me up from LA, and she just got engaged. And she wants me to play her wedding in Italy. And she calls me all the time, you know? It's like when they call you all the time, you're like, what the hell? You know, so she wanted me to write a song for her, for her wedding. So this is the song I wrote for her wedding. I hope you enjoy it. Angelina, don't marry him. Brad Pitt can't make you happy like I can. Angelina, don't marry him. Brad Pitt can't make you. Alright, that's about all I'm gonna play of that song. Yeah, yeah. I play at Aspire on Saturday nights. Not tonight though, next week. So if you want to hear the whole song. My place is of the sun and this place is of the dark, and I do not feel the romance. I do not catch the spark yet. My place is of the sun and this place is of the dark, and I do not feel feel the romance. I do not catch the spark, no. I can't remember when I noticed life was life at my expense. The words of my heart lined up like prisoners on a fence. The wounded tears like wounded children tugging at my sleeve. I said I have no way of feeding you, so leave. There was a time I asked my father for $1, and he gave me a $10 raise. When I needed my mother and I called her, she stayed with me for days. Now someone's on the telephone, desperate in his pain. Someone's on the bathroom floor doing her cocaine. Someone's got his finger on a button in some room. No one can convince me we are gluttons for our doom. But I try to make this place my place. I ask for Providence to smile upon me with its sweet face. Yeah, but I tell you, my place is of the sun and this place is of the dark, and I do not feel the romance. I do not catch the spark, no. My place is of the sun and this place is of the dark, and I do not feel the romance. I do not catch the spark, yeah. Maybe there's no haven in this world for tender age. Pop them from a cage like wounded birds from a cage. The wounded send my greatest hope to grieve. And I flew upon my cage, bled upon my sleeve. The wounded tears will not do not see the feeling. I couldn't hear from the thunder. I was half the naked distance between hell and heaven's ceiling, and it almost pulled me under. Now someone's on the telephone, desperate in his pain. Someone's on the bathroom floor doing her cocaine. Someone's got his finger on a button in some room. No one can convince me we are gluttons for our doom. But I try to make this place my place. I ask for Providence to smile upon me with its sweet face. Yeah, but I tell you, my place is of the sun and this place is of the dark, and I do not feel the romance. I do not catch the spark, no. My place is of the sun and this place is of the dark, and I do not feel the romance. I do not catch the spark, yeah. My place is of the sun and this place is of the dark, and I do not feel the romance. I do not catch the spark, no. My place is of the sun, yeah. This place is of the dark, and I will not be a pawn for the Prince of Darkness any longer. Some Indigo Girls for you.